Well, more now on the crisis in Iraq, and President Obama has confirmed the United States would be prepared to launch airstrikes in Iraq if local forces fail to halt the advance of the ISIS fighters. Well, here's more of what he had to say.
Now, it's not the place for the United States to choose Iraq's leaders. It is clear, though, that only leaders that can govern with an inclusive agenda are going to be able to truly bring the Iraqi people together and help them through this crisis. There is an urgent need for an inclusive political process, a more capable Iraqi security force, and counterterrorism efforts that deny groups like ISIL a safe haven.
Well, our US correspondent Dominic Waghorn has more from Washington.
Barack Obama certainly given the impression that he's doing something, and he's under enormous pressure to do so, not only from the Iraqi government but from critics back home. Republicans saying that Iraq could become a failed state, the launching pad for more 9/11 style attacks on America, and a lot of concern here already about the impact this is having on the price at the pump, with crude oil prices going up and the impact that is having knock-on effects on American drivers. But what he's chosen to do is really take an option that involves the least amount of military intervention. Sending 300 special forces troops, which is what these military advisors are most likely to be in the main part, is drawing America back in a sense. They're not combat troops, but it is American military personnel going back to Iraq. But it allows the president now to say he can wait until they return the information. They are going out to find out intelligence on both ISIS but also the military, the Iraqi military that remains in Iraq, and that's going to take some time. As is the Secretary of State's mission. John Kerry is going out to the region to try and gather regional support to apply pressure onto Nouri al-Maliki, the Iraqi Prime Minister, all with the aim of forcing him to come up with a more inclusive government. So this allows Barack Obama to play for more time, because he knows none of the options he's been presented with are particularly attractive ones. He's waiting for something better to come up, possibly an improvement in Iraqi military fortunes against ISIS, or ISIS overreaching itself. But he knows he has now committed more troops back to Iraq. America is more invested, and there is a possibility he may have to do more militarily to back up these troops, to defend the embassy, or to defend the mission he's now committed himself to. So there is a possibility of more strikes, but nothing imminent for now.
Dominic Waghorn there. Well, let's cross to America, and we'll stay in America even, and speak to Arash Aramesh. He's a national security analyst at Stanford University in California. Lovely to see you, Arash. The Iraqis now appear to have organised themselves. They're fighting back. Do you think it's likely that the US will need to launch that airstrike?
American air support is necessary to provide an element of support for Iraqi ground forces to push back ISIS, or at the very least stop ISIS's momentum and its tremendous gains that it has gained on the ground in the past couple of weeks. U.S. forces will launch some airstrikes, according to what President Obama sort of implied in his statement today, but we got to see how prepared are the Iraqi forces on the ground. And as you know, Grand Ayatollah Sistani, the most popular and the most revered source of emulation in Iraq, issued a fatwa asking all Shiite men who are capable of fighting to take up arms to protect holy sites in Iraq, and also to prevent ISIS from taking more ground and more land. ISIS's gains have been rather significant in the past couple of weeks. A significant chunk of this credit goes to the incompetence of the Iraqi military, which outnumbers ISIS by 800,000 to 800,000 to 1 overall. The Iraqi military is about 750,000 large, yet they just dropped their weapons and ran. Also, credit goes to ISIS's ability and also its organizational ability to fight on the ground. And also, of course, above all, to Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki's incompetence and his sectarian politics that has intensified this sectarian conflict in Iraq.
Arash, everybody's talking about the likelihood of Mr. Maliki stepping down. If he does, what next?
Even his own Shiite coalition partners are not thrilled for Mr. Maliki to seek a third term as Iraq's prime minister. The Sadr the Sadrist movement that follows Muqtada al-Sadr, the sort of firebrand cleric, he has made it clear that he and his partners are not interested in seeing a third prime minister, third Maliki sort of premiership. Other Shiite groups have also expressed the same thing. It is true that Maliki in the previous election about a month ago won the largest chunk of the Iraqi parliamentarian seats, but it doesn't mean that he has enough to form a coalition, to form a government without a coalition. It's pretty obvious that Maliki has been a very divisive, very polarizing figure in Iraqi politics, but Sunnis have not really participated either. We have had waves of suicide bombings ever since Americans left Iraq. So if the two sides really want to see an Iraq that its territorial integrity from the Kurdish region to the Sunni West and to the Shiite heartland is protected and dignified, they have to come to the negotiating table and reach a political resolution to this problem.
Okay, Arash, as ever, thank you very much.